My name is Alicia Ramsey, 27 years old. The first thing I felt that morning wasn't the sunlight on my face or the hum of the Portland city streets outside my window. It was the sharp, twisting pain in my stomach. Food poisoning had knocked me flat, but deep down, I knew this wasn't just about sushi gone bad. I was doubled over on my apartment floor, my hands trembling as beads of sweat traced my temples, and I fumbled for my phone, hoping for a lifeline. "Mom, Dad, Julie, please," I texted, each word slower than the last, drenched in weakness and desperation. I imagined them rushing to my side, showing the slightest flicker of concern. Instead, there was only silence. My apartment felt colder than usual, the quiet almost mocking, as if the walls themselves were complicit in my isolation. I dragged myself onto the couch, fingers clinging to my phone, and opened my banking app more out of habit than hope. That's when my heart dropped. $15,000, every cent I'd painstakingly saved over years of overtime and sacrifices, was gone. At first, I thought it was a glitch. I refreshed the page, my hands shaking uncontrollably. No, it wasn't. Every transaction screamed betrayal. First-class flights to Los Angeles, a luxurious hotel suite, VIP passes, a rooftop dinner, every line a dagger, all charges I hadn't authorized. My family. They hadn't just left me sick at home, they had stolen from me, laughed all the way through their weekend while I'd been left helpless, empty-handed, and broken. I called my mother, my voice quivering. "Mom, my savings, it's gone. Did you take it?" Her tone was casual, almost breezy, as if she were talking about the weather. "Alicia, honey, calm down. It must be a bank error. Don't worry so much." My hands curled into fists. "Bank error? Mom, this is $15,000. My rent, my bills, my life. It's gone." She sighed, the kind of sigh that always made me feel like my problems were a nuisance. "We needed it for the event, sweetie. You weren't using it anyway." Not using it? I had been bedridden, gasping for breath and clinging to my phone for support. Not using it? Their excuses felt like cold water thrown on my chest. I hung up, rage simmering under my nausea. I called Julie next, knowing confrontation would be a minefield. As soon as her voice crackled through, sharp and sarcastic, I felt a familiar tension coil around me. "What now, little sis?" she sneered. "You took my money, $15,000. You and Mom, did you know about this?" "Oh, get over yourself," she said, laughter dripping with venom. "We didn't steal anything, just borrowed. You'll get it back, eventually." Borrowed? Borrowing my life savings while I was sick on the floor? The word stole itself, twisting into betrayal. "Borrowed? That's theft, Julie." My voice rose despite the queasiness in my stomach. "Maybe stop being so selfish," she spat before hanging up. My father's silence was deafening. I tried him. Voicemail. Again. I tossed my phone onto the couch, my chest tight, anger pooling like a storm. This wasn't a one-time lapse. This was a calculated betrayal, and it was only the beginning. I forced myself to sit upright and open my laptop. My vision blurred, but the numbers on my screen were sharp and cruel. My accounts drained, my credit card maxed, and then a new notification. A loan. $5,000. Approved in my name yesterday. My pulse hammered in disbelief. Someone had used my identity, my life, to fund their reckless choices. I called the bank, voice tight but controlled. Fraud. It had to be fraud. They promised an investigation, but the delay was unbearable. While my stomach twisted with nausea, my mind began to sharpen. I wasn't just sick. I was targeted. My phone buzzed. Julie texting. "Stop freaking out about the money. You're embarrassing yourself." Embarrassing? After $15,000 vanished, after a fraudulent loan threatened my future, after being left helpless while they paraded in Los Angeles, my blood boiled. I texted back, "You used my identity for a loan. That's fraud." No reply. I needed clarity. I needed strategy. I needed Shannon. I found her at our usual coffee shop, laptop open, eyes sharp. I spilled everything, my savings, the loan, the sense of violation that ran deeper than money. She listened, jaw tight, and then said, cold and precise, "They're not just taking your money. They're trying to control you. We need proof. Every transaction, every email, every shadow of their hand in this." Hours passed as we dug. Shannon's eyes widened when she uncovered another blocked credit alert from Los Angeles. "They're still there," she said, voice low. "And they're not done." I nodded, resolve hardening. My stomach churned, but rage steadied my hands. This wasn't just about cash anymore. It was about justice, control, and reclaiming my life. The next morning, my apartment felt suffocatingly quiet, the kind of silence that presses against your skull until every worry echoes louder than it should. My stomach was still tender, a lingering reminder of the food poisoning, but nothing compared to the cold, gnawing dread in my chest. I had barely slept, eyes flicking to my laptop over and over, scanning accounts, transaction logs, and messages I hadn't dared open the night before. Then my phone rang. David Hole, my boss. His voice clipped, professional, but laced with tension. "Alicia, we need you in the office. Now. There's a problem with the Thompson account." Thompson, my biggest project, a 6-figure campaign for a national client, and suddenly my heart sank. "Problem?" I asked, my voice tight, nauseated, but not from food this time. "You sent them a proposal," he said, "completely off-brand. Wrong budget, wrong creative direction. They're threatening to pull out. Get here immediately." My stomach dropped. I hadn't sent anything. I'd been too sick to touch work for days. My laptop lay open on the kitchen table, drafts untouched. Yet somehow, a catastrophe had been unleashed in my name. I raced to the office, heart hammering, mind spinning. David was waiting, arms crossed, a printed email shoved across his desk. My pulse surged as I scanned it. It was addressed to Thompson, my work account, but the content was disastrous, amateurish, inflated budgets, an incoherent creative plan. "I didn't send this," I said, voice firm, trying to mask the panic. "Someone accessed my account." David's eyebrow arched. "It's from your email, Alicia. How do I know?" "I haven't logged in since Friday," I said, meeting his gaze. "Check the logs. You'll see." His gaze sharpened, skeptical, but not dismissive. "All right, but fix it. Now." I left his office, hands trembling, mind whirring. This wasn't a mistake. It was deliberate sabotage, and I knew exactly who could do it. Julie, my sister. Jealous, vindictive, and skilled enough to hack an email account without leaving fingerprints. I called her, fingers gripping the phone. She picked up instantly, her voice a smug, honeyed trap. "What's up, little sis? Trouble at work?" "You sent that fake proposal to Thompson," I said, voice like steel. "You're sabotaging my career." She laughed, sharp and mocking. "Wow, paranoid much? You're falling apart." "Cut the crap, Julie," I snapped, fury rising. "You're trying to tank my job." A pause, then her tone shifted, cold and venomous. "You think you're better than us, don't you? Always the perfect one with your fancy job, your savings, your big plans. I just gave you a reality check." I felt the words like a punch, but I held my ground. "You didn't knock me down, Julie. You just showed everyone who you really are." I hung up, blood boiling, and called Mom, desperate for a shred of reason. "Julie sabotaged my job. She sent a fake proposal. I could lose everything." Her voice, fake concern, dripping, was almost unbearable. "Alicia, you're overreacting. Maybe you made a mistake. Julie wouldn't do that." I clenched my fists. Years of gaslighting echoed in her words. "Mom, it's not a mistake. It's fraud." She sighed, exasperated. "We're family. You can't turn on your own." I hung up, resolute. Done. Not just done with Mom's manipulations, but with their entire charade. My father hadn't answered, of course. His silence had always been louder than any confession. Shannon was waiting that evening, her apartment a sanctuary of light and order compared to the chaos in my mind. Together, we pulled up every log, every timestamp, every IP address connected to my accounts. The fake email had been sent from Los Angeles, exactly where my family had been partying while I suffered at home. "She's still there," Shannon said, jaw tight, her voice low, "and she's trying to ruin you from 1,000 miles away." I leaned back, finally seeing the plan laid bare. Theft, identity fraud, and now deliberate professional sabotage. Julie had engineered every move, Mom had backed it, Dad had stayed silent. It wasn't just betrayal, it was a declaration of control, and it had gone too far. For the first time in days, clarity hit. This wasn't just about money, or stolen savings, or a tanked proposal. It was about life, about proving that I wasn't just a pawn to be used, mocked, and discarded. And with Shannon beside me, we began plotting every step to reclaim what was mine. Not just my accounts, my career, but my dignity. I sat there, the glow of the laptop reflecting in my eyes, and whispered to myself, they think they can destroy me from miles away. They have no idea. My Portland apartment felt smaller that evening, walls closing in like they were waiting for a fight. I'd spent hours gathering proof, screenshots of stolen transactions, the $5,000 fraudulent loan, the email logs showing Julie's LAIP. Every piece of evidence burned in my hands, but I kept my breathing steady. This was it, the moment I refused to be the victim any longer. The doorbell rang. My heart skipped. I didn't need to check the peephole. I knew who it was, my mother, my father, and Julie stepping inside my home as if they owned it. Their polished appearances, carefully rehearsed smiles, it all screamed deception. Alicia, we need to talk, Mom said, her voice syrupy, soft, like she was coaxing a child. She stepped forward, coat draped over her shoulders in a dramatic flourish. I crossed my arms. There's nothing to talk about. You need to leave. Julie smirked, leaning against the wall, eyes glinting with venom. Oh, come on, Alicia, don't be so childish. You're making this way harder than it needs to be. Childish? I snapped, my voice cold and measured. You stole $15,000, maxed out my card, took out a loan in my name, and hacked my work email. You don't get to call me anything. Mom gasped, clutching her chest like I'd physically hit her. How dare you speak to us like that after everything we've done for you? Everything you've done? I repeated, bitter laughter escaping me. You drained my savings, racked up my card, and set me up to lose my job. I've been paying your bills for years. This is how you repay me? Mom's sweet facade cracked. You ungrateful girl, we're your family. You owe us. I laughed, the sound bitter and hollow. Owe you? I've given you everything. Now you owe me $15,000, plus interest. Julie stepped closer, venom in her voice. You think you're so perfect, don't you? Always acting like you're above us with your fancy job, your savings, your perfect life. You needed to be knocked down a peg. I met her glare without flinching. You didn't knock me down. You just revealed who you really are. Mom clutched her chest again, this time exaggerating a dramatic yoshis, staggering slightly. Alicia, stop this. You're stressing me out. My heart, I can't handle it. I froze, a flash of guilt flickering. But then I caught Julie's eyes, the subtle way she watched her mother like a co-conspirator. Fake. I shook off the doubt. Nice try, I said calmly. I'm done with your games. My father, silent until now, finally spoke, voice low, hesitant. Alicia, we didn't mean for it to go this far. Didn't mean for what, Dad? I said, sharp, unwavering. To steal my money? To let Julie sabotage my job? You knew what they were doing, didn't you? His shoulders slumped. I knew about the money, he admitted, voice barely audible. I should have stopped them. My jaw tightened. Years of silence, standing by as they bled me dry, flashed before me. But you didn't, and now you're all out of chances. Mom's face twisted in fury, her act of frailty gone. You're going to regret this, Alicia. You can't just cut us off. We're your family. No, I said, stepping closer, thumb hovering over my phone. You're not my family. Family doesn't steal from you, lie to you, or sabotage your life. You're just people who used me, and I'm done. Julie laughed coldly. What? You're going to call the cops on us? Your own mother? That's low, even for you. Try me, I said, voice steady, pressing my thumb over the dial. 10 seconds to leave, or I call 911 for trespassing, theft, and fraud. Mom's eyes widened. Fear flickered, breaking through her act. You wouldn't dare, she whispered. I counted silently, fingers steady. 10, 9, 8. Charles stepped back, hands raised. Ellen, let's go. This isn't worth it. Julie's jaw clenched, glare burning. You're pathetic. You think this makes you tough. You're nothing without us. 5, 4. Mom grabbed her purse, voice dripping venom. You're just like your father. Weak. Selfish. You'll regret this. 2, 1. They turned, heels clicking against the hallway floor, leaving me with silence. I slammed the door, chest heaving, hands shaking, but inside I felt something new, freedom. The weight of years of manipulation, theft, and sabotage finally lifted. For the first time, I wasn't shrinking to fit their chaos. I was standing tall, unbroken, in my own home. I pulled out my phone and texted Shannon. They were here. I stood up to them. Need your help to end this. Her reply was instant. You got this. Let's finish it. I sat back against the door, heart still pounding, but steady. They had underestimated me. They had thought I'd bend, break, or beg. Instead, I had held my ground. And with Shannon by my side, I was ready to make sure they paid for every lie, every stolen dollar, every ounce of control they had tried to wield over me. This wasn't just about money anymore. It was about life, dignity, and reclaiming what was mine. The morning after the confrontation, my apartment felt unnervingly quiet, the kind of silence that presses against your chest, making your thoughts louder than usual. I sat at the kitchen table, laptop open, coffee cooling beside me. Every screen was filled with proof: stolen transactions, fraudulent loans, email logs showing Julie's Los Angeles IP. My hands shook at first, but with every click, every screenshot saved, I felt a surge of power. Shannon's voice over the phone reminded me, sharp and unwavering, you need proof to bury them. Hard evidence. Everything else is just noise. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. She was right. This was bigger than a stolen $15,000 or a sabotaged proposal. This was about reclaiming my life from people who had spent years trying to control it. I opened Instagram first, fingers trembling with a mixture of fear and resolve. The post I typed was raw but precise. I laid it all bare. My family had stolen from me while I was sick, taken out a fraudulent loan in my name, and sabotaged my work to make me fail. I attached every screenshot, every log, every bank alert. No commentary, no exaggeration, just facts. Within minutes, my phone buzzed uncontrollably. Friends, coworkers, even strangers were messaging, sharing, supporting. My best friend Tara wrote, "Alicia, this is unreal. You're so strong. Don't let them gaslight you into silence." On LinkedIn, a marketing executive I'd previously worked with shared my post, adding, "This is why we protect professional integrity. Bravo, Alicia." I felt a strange, thrilling mix of vindication and fear. They'd never expected me to fight back publicly. But the retaliation came quickly. Julie posted an Instagram story, face streaked with fake tears. "Alicia's always been selfish. She's lying for attention." Mom chimed in with a long post about abandonment, painting me as the villain. I screenshot everything. Every lie, every manipulation was another piece of ammunition for what I was building. By midday, my phone rang. It was David Hole from work, the Thompson account. My pulse spiked. "Alicia, we need to talk about that proposal. Thompson is threatening to pull out." I explained, voice steady, that the proposal had been sent from Los Angeles, not me. David's skepticism was palpable, but before he could respond, Ryan Keller, my coworker, stepped in. "She's telling the truth. I checked server logs. The email came from LA, time-stamped yesterday. Alicia couldn't have sent it." David's expression softened, though cautious. "All right, get me the full report and fix the Thompson pitch today." Relief washed over me. I wasn't just fighting my family. I was protecting my career. The afternoon was a blur of reconstruction. I poured my energy into rebuilding the Thompson proposal, refining every detail with Ryan's help. By evening, we sent a revised pitch. Thompson responded within hours, agreeing to continue with the campaign. My work life was safe for now. Meanwhile, a single text from my father appeared. "Alicia, I'm sorry. I knew what they were doing and didn't stop it. I don't expect forgiveness. Just know I regret it." I stared at it, chest tightening. Years of his silence had left scars, but this small admission felt like a pebble rolling down a mountain. Too little, too late. I forwarded it to Shannon. Her voice, firm and wise, warned me, "Don't let him pull you back in. Keep your boundaries." The real shift came that evening when I realized the ripple effect. My post was being shared across Portland, even into Seattle. Strangers were messaging, sharing their own stories of family betrayal, thanking me for giving them courage. This wasn't just about my fight anymore. It was bigger. My pain was someone else's permission to speak, to stand up, to walk away. I spent that night drafting a plan. I couldn't undo what my family had done, but I could control what came next. I would document everything, expose the truth publicly if necessary, and use the momentum to empower not just myself, but anyone trapped in a toxic cycle. By bedtime, I felt a shift deep inside me, a combination of rage, relief, and a strange exhilaration. For years, I had carried their weight, paid their bills, and tolerated their manipulation. But now, the scales were tilting. I wasn't a passive participant in my life anymore. I was the one deciding the narrative. As I closed my laptop, I felt Shannon's presence over the phone, even without words. Together, we had the evidence, the plan, and the moral high ground. They thought they could break me. They thought they could bully me back into submission. They were wrong. I wasn't just reclaiming money or reputation. I was reclaiming my life, and this time, I was playing to win. The morning light seeped through my Portland apartment blinds, casting long shadows over my kitchen table, cluttered with laptop screens and coffee mugs. I felt a strange calm, like the eye of a storm. Yesterday, I'd taken the first step, posting my story online, laying out the proof of my family's betrayal. Now, the response was overwhelming. Messages flooded in from strangers, friends, and colleagues. Every notification ping made my stomach tighten, this time with anticipation rather than fear. One woman wrote, "I never thought I could speak up about my family, but seeing you do it gives me courage." Another, "I can relate. My parents drained me emotionally and financially. Thank you for showing it's possible to fight back." I realized then that my battle wasn't just personal. It had sparked a movement. My pain was no longer mine alone. It was a mirror for countless people trapped in toxic family dynamics, afraid to reclaim their own lives. By mid-morning, Shannon and I were huddled over my laptop, brainstorming a strategy. We weren't just exposing my family. We were going to create a platform for others like me. Break Free became our working title, a campaign to empower people to recognize abuse, protect themselves financially and emotionally, and reclaim their independence. We drafted the first post for Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. We shared my story in stages: the theft, the fraud, the sabotage at work, and the emotional manipulation. Every post included practical advice: how to secure accounts, detect fraud, and set boundaries with family members. The response was immediate. Shares multiplied, comments piled up, and a small digital community started forming around the hashtag #BreakFree. Then came the first real test: my family. Ellen posted a long-winded, dramatic story claiming I had abandoned them in their time of need, painting herself as the victim. Julie followed with a thinly veiled Instagram story, crying about how selfish I had become. For a moment, I felt a flicker of doubt. Their words were designed to stir guilt, to make me hesitate. But I didn't. I screenshot their posts and added context beneath them on my own platform. Every lie they told became evidence of manipulation, not a hook to pull me back into their drama. I realized the power of transparency. When lies are confronted publicly with proof, manipulation loses its grip. By noon, David Hole called. "Alicia, the Thompson account. You've stabilized it, but your story online, it's making waves. Our firm's reputation is intact, but you need to tread carefully." I assured him I was careful, but also firm. This was bigger than just my job. It was about reclaiming agency and creating awareness. Emails poured in from nonprofits and advocacy groups interested in collaboration, workshops, webinars, social media campaigns. People wanted to join Break Free. Shannon and I worked late into the evening, mapping out a structure: a website for survivor stories, a resource hub for financial safety, and a support network for emotional guidance. Every story submitted reminded me that I was no longer alone, and neither was anyone else. And then came a surprise. A national marketing magazine reached out for an interview. "Your story is inspiring. We want to feature how you turned personal betrayal into a professional movement," they wrote. I realized my pain was no longer a chain. It had become a tool to help others stand up, fight back, and regain control. That evening, I stepped back from the screen, letting the gravity of the day settle. I had taken control of my narrative, confronted the lies, and created a platform that could help thousands. My apartment was quiet again, but now the silence felt different. It was solid, empowering, and free from the suffocating weight of manipulation. For the first time, I imagined a life without them, without Ellen's guilt trips, without Julie's sabotage, without my father's passive complicity. I was no longer reacting to their chaos. I was shaping my own story. Break Free was only the beginning. As I closed my laptop and leaned back in my chair, I thought of the countless messages still pouring in. Every story, every thank you, every shared post reminded me why I had done this. I wasn't just fighting my family anymore. I was standing up for anyone who had ever been silenced by those they trusted most. And in that quiet, I felt it. A sense of liberation I hadn't known for years. This wasn't just victory over Ellen, Julie, or Charles. It was victory over fear, doubt, and self-limitation. I had broken free, and I was determined to help others do the same. The morning air in Portland carried a crisp bite as I stepped outside, phone in hand, ready to face the storm I had been building for months. Ellen, Julie, and Charles had been silent for weeks, their online attempts to smear me drowned out by the momentum of Break Free. But I knew silence wasn't surrender. It was plotting. I had to close this chapter on my terms. The doorbell rang just as I sat down to finalize the next campaign post. My heart skipped. I didn't need to peek. I knew who it was. Ellen's heel clicks and Julie's familiar smirk announced their arrival before I even opened the door. Charles lingered behind, tentative, as though waiting for someone else to mediate. "Alicia, we need to talk," Ellen said, voice sweet yet sharp, the kind of honeyed poison designed to lower defenses. I crossed my arms, my posture unyielding. "There's nothing left to talk about. You need to leave." Julie stepped closer, eyes glinting. "You think this ends with your little social media posts? We're family. You can't just erase us." I didn't flinch. "Family doesn't steal, lie, or sabotage. You're just people who used me, and I'm done." Ellen clutched her chest, gasping like I had physically struck her. "How dare you speak to us this way?" she cried, her act almost convincing. But I had spent too many years walking on eggshells for this performance. I saw the tiny flicker of rehearsed mischief in Julie's eyes, the way Charles's shoulders slumped in silent complicity. "You almost fooled me, Ellen. But the fake heart attack, Julie's smirks, your father's weak apologies, none of it works anymore," I said firmly. "I've documented everything. Every lie, every theft, every attempt to ruin me is recorded. You had your chance to change, and you didn't." Julie's face twisted with rage. "You're pathetic. You think you're strong. You couldn't survive without us." I held my gaze. "I've survived everything you threw at me. I didn't just survive, I'm thriving. My career is intact, my finances are secured, and my voice is louder than yours could ever be. I am free from your manipulation." Charles spoke softly, almost pleading. "Alicia, we didn't mean for it to go this far. We thought we were helping." "Helping," I repeated, voice cold. "By stealing $15,000 from me, taking out a loan in my name, sabotaging my job, and trying to gaslight me? That's your version of helping?" Ellen gasped, clutching her coat, fury replacing feigned frailty. "You'll regret this. You're not making it out of this unscathed." I lifted my phone, my finger hovering over the dial. "Try me." The room froze. Ellen's face paled as she realized I wasn't bluffing. Julie's smirk faltered. Charles exhaled sharply, guilt finally breaking through his usual silence. "I called the authorities if you don't leave. Fraud, theft, harassment. Your actions are illegal," I continued, calm but unwavering. "You've pushed me to the limit, and now you face the consequences of your own choices." 10 seconds. I let them count in their minds, feeling their hesitation. One by one, they backed away. Ellen muttered curses under her breath. Julie's glare was sharp but powerless, and Charles trailed like a shadow, unwilling or unable to intervene. The door shut behind them with a definitive click, and for the first time in years, the apartment was mine alone. The silence was no longer suffocating. It was liberation. I sank into the couch, heart racing but steady, and sent Shannon a single text. "They're gone." I stood my ground. Her reply came instantly. "I knew you would. You've won, Alicia. They can't touch you anymore." Weeks passed, and life settled into a new rhythm. Break Free grew into more than just a campaign. It became a community. Workshops, webinars, media interviews. People everywhere began sharing their stories, inspired to reclaim their lives. My professional life flourished. Thompson and other clients respected my integrity. My leadership at the firm strengthened. And Ryan became an unwavering ally, helping me steer the campaign forward. Charles sent a tentative letter, handwritten, an olive branch of sorts. He admitted failure, expressed regret, and sought understanding. I read it twice, setting it aside without replying. Closure didn't mean reconciliation, not yet. For now, the act of recognition, however delayed, was enough. Ellen and Julie faded from my digital and personal life. Their attempts to smear me online crumbled in the wake of overwhelming evidence and public support. They moved on, chasing illusions that no longer mattered to me. The real triumph, I realized, wasn't revenge. It was reclaiming my agency, my voice, and my peace. For the first time, I lived on my own terms. I had built boundaries, forged alliances, and transformed my trauma into purpose. Break Free wasn't just a campaign, it was a movement, and I was its living proof. That evening, I watched the Portland skyline glow in the twilight, the city lights mirroring the energy within me. A year ago, I would have cowered behind their manipulation. Today, I felt invincible, not because I had power over them, but because I had power over myself. I had broken free, and in doing so, I gave others permission to do the same. I picked up my laptop, opening the Break Free website. New stories from people who had escaped toxic relationships poured in, each one a testament to resilience and courage. I smiled, the ache of the past replaced by the pulse of possibility.